Race 2 of the weekend for the penultimate round of the Prototype Cup Germany, organised by the ADAC in association with Creventic. Hello everybody, welcome along to the Nürburgring. Just a little bit later than originally advertised, so apologies for that. We hope you are going to be entertained here in the glorious sunshine as we look from our drone over the Nordschleife, the green hell. Sadly, we're not going to be on the Nordschleife today. We're going to be on the Nürburgring sprint circuit, but conditions are absolutely perfect. 22.6 degrees centigrade is the air temperature. The track temperature up to 28 degrees centigrade. Bit of a nip in the air today in places. Is actually ideal for racing these cars though. And it is this weekend that we could potentially, or certainly today, see a championship decided. Coming in to today, it's Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov who lead Max Angelard and Matis Plushkul in the championship. They lead them by 48 points. After today, just one more round, 2 races, and 50 points remaining on the table. 75 points available coming into this race. And Pavel Lefterov has started off exactly as he plans to go on, putting the car on pole position. You saw yesterday's second place finisher, Riccardo Cirelli, a wave and a wink from Zeno Folker, one of the really impressive chargers, doing occasional appearances, let's say, in the Prototype Cup Germany. Right, stop everything. Alexander Christensen, time for some parish notices here. A point of information. My entry sheet at the beginning of the year said that he came from Zimbabwe. Okay, I went back and checked that, and it still says that. I correct myself. Apologies to Alexander Christensen and indeed everybody at Gebhard Intralogics and Motorsport. Alexander Christensen does indeed come from Sweden. The giveaway is the car in the Swedish colours and indeed the Swedish flag that is painted on the back of it. No, not Zimbabwean, and I do believe there's been an element of Mickey taking that has been going on for Alexander Christensen. The Swedish driver, who is in the #1 car, shared with Oscar Tunyo, and he put his Swedish experience to good use yesterday, coming home in 3rd place. But the winner yesterday was the championship leader, Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov. In 2nd place was Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen and Riccardo Cirelli. They are just about in the championship hunt still, but they are 68 points back from Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. So it's all getting a bit of a stretch as we look at the cars on the grid. And very, very shortly, we hope to get this race going. Thomas Ambiel lines up 9th on the grid. We'll bring you the full grid rundown in due course. But the cars currently on the grid, getting ready. It's the 4th season of this championship. We've really enjoyed it. The rumble of these LMP3 cars. When you're in the paddock and these things fire up, people stop and look around because the ground shakes. Powered by 5.6 litres of Nissan V8 engine, the Type VK56 for the anoraks out there. Supplied by Orica, the engine, transmission and electronics. And there is that rumble. The ground vibrates, the cars burst into life. So, to summarise in the championship, Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov are 48 points clear of Max Angelard and Matis Plushkul, 52 points clear of Maxim Dirks and Sven Bart, 68 points clear of Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen and Riccardo Cirelli. They believe, quite rightly, they've got one hand on the trophy. It's going to take something of an upset to stop them from taking it, but we've still got 3 races left this season, one of which is about to commence now. The remaining 2 will take place in Austria at the Red Bull Ring in September. And Pavel Lefterov and Danny Sufi would dearly love to have this championship put to bed before then. But we have 55 minutes of racing plus 1 lap to come. Before all of that, the formation laps. Because the air temperature has been a little bit low today, the race directors have very wisely decided to allow the cars to have 2 formation laps just to generate a little bit more heat into the slick tyres. Of course, the heat creates the grip. As we look at the starting grid, it's Pavel Lefterov who starts on pole position in the Ligier, run by Conrad Motorsport, with Riccardo Cirelli alongside BWT Mucke versus Conrad. There are 2 legendary names if ever you saw that. Another Conrad car. Zino Folker had some issues in quali this morning, but still managed to qualify 3rd ahead of the Swedish driver Alexander Christensen on row 3. The closest challengers in the championship, Maximilian Angelard and other BWT Mucke cars, with Maxim Dirks in that very pretty car behind. Jeremy Sivert, the grandson of Joe Sivert, lines up alongside Mikkel C. Johansson on row 4, and on row 5 it's Thomas Ambiel in the number 33 car for Rinaldi Racing. They're out on the first of their formation laps at the moment. So if you're new to Prototype Cup Germany, 2 things. Firstly, where have you been? And secondly, there is a mandatory pit stop that will need to take place for all cars. The pit window will open in the 22nd minute of the race as we look again at the points standings. That window remains open for 10 minutes and then it will close again. During that 10-minute period, every car will need to visit the pit lane for a mandatory stop, and in the case of all cars bar 2, a driver change as well. Thomas Ambiel and Zina Folker are registered as solo drivers, so they're not doing a driver change, but in the case of Zino Folker, as a silver-rated driver, his minimum pit stop time will be longer than those cars around him. We have a minimum pit stop time of 95 seconds. Then an additional handicap is put on each car, depending on their rating, whether they're silver, whether they're bronze, whether they're solo. All of that will affect what their minimum pit stop time is from pit entry to pit exit. Add to that success penalties as well. So the drivers that won yesterday, Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov, have an extra 6 seconds of minimum pit stop time added onto their time. The driver that finished 2nd yesterday, Matthias Bier, Jakobsen, Riccardo Cirelli, an extra 4 seconds. The drivers that finished 3rd yesterday, Oscar Tunyo and Alexander Christensen, an extra 2 seconds onto their minimum pit stop times. It sounds complicated, but it really is a great system of just leveling things up. It means that the longest pit stop will be served by Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. That's 121 seconds in total. That's the 95 seconds minimum pit stop time, plus 20 seconds for being a silver-silver combination, plus 6 seconds for their win yesterday. The second longest pit stop time will be 120 seconds, and that will be Zino Folker, on account of the fact that he is a solo silver-rated driver. The other end of the scale, the shortest pit stop time is Thomas Ambiel in number 33. He's a solo bronze-rated driver. His pit stop time is 95 seconds. So that is some 26 seconds less than Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. So what you see coming into the pit stop windows is not necessarily what you're going to see when they come out of the pit stop. That is all ahead of us. The clock is ticking because on the second formation lap, the clock starts. So we're already racing, but now the cars line up side by side. The safety car peels off into the pit lane. It's the job of Pavel Lefterov to lead the field around with Riccardo Cirelli alongside him. Cirelli, who takes no prisoners, one of the young chargers in this wonderful series, alongside the number 2 car. He is there in the number 8, the red and pink car. Out along the pit straight we come, 3.629 kilometers, 11 turns, 4 to the left and 7 to the right for Prototype Cup Germany. Race 10 of the season is go. Pavel Lefterov, a good start. Cirelli ducked in behind, picked up a slipstream, now to the outside into turn 1. Zino Folker is there, but too far back to challenge at the moment. Everybody makes it around the first corner. Everybody tiptoeing, making sure that there's no dramas. Everybody needs to survive that opening lap. Cirelli coming under pressure from Christensen. So Christensen making a great start from P4 up to P3. He's already got past Zino Folker. Folker now challenging Trelli. Trelli now having covered off. Zeno Folker having dropped back to P4. Weaving a little bit to the left and to the right. Will be a little bit frustrated by that start. The fellow Conrad Motorsport car with Pavel Lefterov leads the way at the moment. Riccardo Trelli in that second place. Christensen from Sweden up to third place. Zeno Folker, Mats Angelard, and there's a car going wide. That was Jeremy Siffert, I think, who went wide out of the corner. You have to be really careful with these cars. They are ground effect cars. They need the downforce. The bumping doesn't work. They lose the grip, and there is somebody going straight on. Max Angelard, second in the championship. This is significant. He missed the chicane, and now he's relegated further down the order, out onto the pit straight. He will come in the evening sunshine here at the Nürburgring. Pavel Lefterov leading the way. Riccardo Trelli in second. Alexander Christensen in third place. We've got a long way to go in this race, so not ready to start counting the chickens yet, but Maxim Dirks with a little look to the inside of Zeno Folker. Max Angelard will be frustrated by that earlier mistake. He's going to have to do the hard work to get back past Maxim Dirks. In the background, Mikkel C. Johansson in the red, black and white car. So having another look here, that was Jeremy Siffert going wide, picking up some dirt. He managed to keep it in front of Thomas Ambiel, I think, despite losing the grip on the car. And that was Max Angelard going straight on at the chicane, just outbraking himself. He certainly hasn't gained anything from it. He's lost an awful lot, quite a few places as a result of that moment. Relegated down the order. 50 minutes remaining of this race. So it's Pavel Lefterov who leads the way, Riccardo Trelli in second, and Alexander Christensen in third place. The rumble of the cars under deceleration into turn 9, into the chicane. Pavel Lefterov will be very happy. He's out in front at the moment. He doesn't want to be doing anything that would be involving taking risks. And being away from the traffic, you're away from all the dramas that might be kicking off behind. Looking for a good score here. So Trelli behind. There's Alexander Christensen. There's Zeno Folker with Maxim Dirks turning the pressure up. Max Angelard now going to have to work out how he can get past both of those cars. So we're looking at the championship at the moment. If the race finished now, Pavel Lefterov, along with his co-driver Danny Sufi, would score 25 points. Max Angelard, along with his co-driver Mattis Plushkul, would have a 6th place, which would only give them 10 points. It means there would be 63 points adrift, with 50 points on the table. Maxim Dirks and Sven Bart. Dirks currently in 5th place. So if he finished there, he'd get 11 points. They too would be out of reach of the championship. And Matthias Bier Jakobsen, Riccardo Trelli, if they finish in 2nd place, they will get 20 points. That would make them 73 points adrift. So things remain as they are now. Pavel Lefterov and Danny Sufi will have the championship signed, sealed and delivered with 2 races remaining. And that would really take the pressure off. But we still have 48 minutes of racing ahead of us, and they need to bring it home because the points are only paid at the checkered flag and not before. The commentary position that I'm sat in is vibrating as the cars come past on the pit straight, past the pits into turn 1. Spacing out a bit at the moment. Remember though, all these pit stops with different durations are going to kick in. When the clock strikes 35 to go, that's when the pit window opens. At the moment, Pavel Lefterov has a gap of 2.144 over Riccardo Trelli in the number 8 car. Trelli's pit stop will be 2 seconds shorter than that of Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. The minimum pit stop time from pit entry to pit exit. So if they pitted now and came out in exactly the same positions, then Trelli would be 0.144 behind Lefterov, or their co-drivers would be. At the moment, Lefterov will be pushing hard just to open up the gap. There are no tyre changes. So if you push too hard early on and you use up all the rubber, your co-driver may have nothing left to grip with when the race is finished. A track limit warning has been given to both of the BWT Mucca cars. So Riccardo Trelli and Max Angelard, both with track limit warnings from race control at turn 2. So race control keeping a steady eye on this. And a penalty really would hand the championship to Pavel Lefterov and Danny Sufi prematurely. There is the very pretty paintwork of the Maxim Direks car, the number 3 Maxim Direks, along with Sven Bart, who's still yet to take their first win in Prototype Cup Germany. Conrad Motorsport, the team run by Franz Conrad, local to here at the Nürburgring. Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov at the wheel. Lefterov, who's had 5 wins in this series, all 5 of them coming this year. Danny Sufi's had 6, make that 7, should I say. All 7 coming in the last couple of years. Danny Sufi, the junior champion from last year. We've got a big problem there. That is Jeremy Siffett, who's made big contact with the barrier. That is certainly going to bring out a caution. The Badischer Motorsport Club Duquesne has made heavy contact with the barrier. The headlights flick on, but the car is heavily damaged. That's up on the exit of turn 5. He's trying to get it moving. Looks like he's dropped it on his own. He's got 2 wheels onto the dirt. Suddenly a passenger heading to the scene of the accident. And a big impact with the barrier, so probably looks a lot worse than it is. We have a caution in that section. Surely we're going to get a safety car unless he can get that car rolling again. We saw him fire it up. We saw him get it moving. So if we get a safety car, I mean, they might be able to move it under a full course yellow. Safety car is out. So that lead that Pavel Lefterov had been heavily, very hard-working, building up a 3.8-second lead, that's going to come to nothing. That's going to disappear, and that may come to bite him on the posterior when we come to the pit window, because trying to build up the gap early on is the strategy to neutralize the longer pit stops. So the Jeremy Siffett car in a vulnerable position, so that is going no further. The tow truck will come out. It looks like there's been a lot of damage. I think it was a relatively hard accident, but certainly I think Jeremy Siffett is absolutely fine in there. I think that his co-driver, Jakob Erbacher, is unlikely to get a stint in the seat of that car this afternoon, so he may well be able to take off his overalls and go and have a sit down. Safety car is out on track, so cautioning this race. The speed will be reduced and the cars will come out onto the pit straight to pick up the safety car. So that's a real shame for Jeremy Siffett. He is the grandson of 2-time Formula 1 winner, Joe Siffett, the driver who died at Brands Hatch back in 1971. He spent the last couple of years in Sprint Cup by Funio, and over the winter switched to Porsche Sprint Cup Swiss, or Suisse. I think that Prototype Cup Germany, LMP3, is a very different kind of discipline and takes a little bit of getting used to. And I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again, when you bump over the curbs or if you hit a bump, you lose that downforce. And we saw him on the exit of turn 5, just going wide, and the grip would have gone, and suddenly the back end of the car steps out, and you're a passenger heading towards the fence, and that's exactly what's happened to Jeremy Siffett. So the car is going to be towed to safety. I don't think that's going to take very long, but it might well delay the opening of the pit window. But this was not in the game plan for Pavel Lefterov and Danny Sufi. Their game plan was to get out front, open up as big a gap as possible to neutralize the extended minimum pit stop time that they're going to have. And the person who may well come out on top of all of this is going to be the 33 of Thomas Ambiel, because his pit stop time of 95 seconds versus the 121-second minimum pit stop time of Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov means that he could potentially suddenly find himself at the sharp end of the pack. We've got plenty of time still to go. The pit window due to open when the clock strikes 33 to go. So we've still got a little bit of time yet before that happens. Still a bit of time for Lefterov to try and build up a bit of a gap from Riccardo Cirelli. So the remnants of the number 11 car, the Badischer Motorsport Club Duquesne D08, is pulled to the side and to safety. So in a moment, hopefully, and get that cleared away and we can get racing. So you see again, he went wide, out onto the dirt, hit that bump on the exit, and then through the advertising board and into the fence, the rear wing absorbing some of the impact. But one thing's for sure, Jeremy Siffer, the number 11 car, is out of the race. 41 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race 10 of a 12 race season. If the race finished now, Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov would be champions, applying the sun cream in the evening sun. There's nothing like doing it publicly. I think somebody might have noticed they're on the big screen. So the sun has been beating down, although there is a nip in the air. It's certainly been quite intense in the direct sunlight still. Right, that car now is pushed back to safety. And the rest of the cars that come rumbling through. So, safety car in on this lap. Good job done by our marshals. Thank you to them for their hard work. They've played that away nice and quickly. So, we should be able to get going again. We've got about another 7 minutes before the pit window opens. Coming up to 7 minutes. So, safety car is in. Pavel Lefterov will back the field up. Riccardo Cirelli will aim to be on his back bumper. So, safety car disappears. Now, Pavel Lefterov decided to go early. He's onto the accelerator. Out of the chicane he will come. He can't accelerate and decelerate. At least I thought he was on the accelerator. Maybe not quite. He's weaving a bit now out of turn 11. Any second now he'll be on it. Cirelli trying to anticipate it. Does a good job keeping him within sight. But Alexander Christensen in the Swedish colours behind him, out along the pit straight they come. Zeno Folker in that 4th place, a little bit back, still weaving, still trying to generate the heat in the tyres. That time behind the safety car can allow the tyres to cool, and they need to have that grip when they come into turn 1 and round into turn 2. Lefterov with a good start. Cirelli with Christensen just behind him. Out around turn 3 they will come. Keep an eye on Thomas Ambiel in the number 33. He's a bronze-rated driver. The FIA rate all drivers in their series. You have bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Bronze, very much the pro-am kind of driver. And Thomas Ambiel, bronze-rated, but it means he gets an advantage when it comes to pit stop times. They're still just pulling that car to safety. We pan across to the right as we see the cars heading out around turn 6 in the glorious evening sunshine here at the Nürburgring. Pavel Lefterov in control at the moment, but he's going to try to build up that gap. How much did he use of those tyres? How much did he take out of the car, building up the gap in the first place? He's going to have to do it all again now. Cirelli trying to keep him honest. Christensen starting to look vulnerable to Maxim Dyrek. So Dyrek's a driver who has just got better and better every time we see him. He has a little look to the inside on turn 11. Christensen slams the door in his face. Out along the pit straight they will come. Dyrek had to back out of it on the exit of turn 11. So not quite the exit he wanted. He has got past Zeno Folker earlier on. Folker will try and come back at him. Max Angelard, second in the championship, wants to come back into this fight as well. Remember, he went straight on at chicane and lost a load of places. Now, with the pesky Zeno Folker in front of him, trying to work his way past. Behind them, Mikkel C. Johansson in 7th place in the number 80 car. They've broken clear of Thomas Ambiel. He's about 1.7 seconds back from that gap. So still in a good position to take advantage if he can try and hold that gap through to the pit window sequence. Thomas Ambiel, who won at Spa-Francorchamps in April in the Prototype Cup Germany. So certainly capable of taking it to the top step of the podium. We're still about 4 minutes away, just over 4 minutes from the pit window opening, when the dynamic of this race will change. Lefterov under control, but not the gap that he had hoped for. It was 0.8 of a second last time around. Trelli has dropped back a little, but not as much as Lefterov would like, I should think. Out of turn 11 they will come, out across the line once again. So, breaking the beam, Pavel Lefterov, 1.29 is the gap back to Riccardo Trelli. Then, Alexander Christensen, 2.35 back from that battle. So Christensen now falling back into the clutches of Maxim Dirks. At one point, he was challenging, now he's defending. And Maxim Dirks is the man on a charge, about 0.4 back from Alexander Christensen. Zeno Folker in that 5th place, one of the real superstars coming up through the ranks. Hasn't had the budget to do a full season of Prototype Cup Germany. Would dearly love to see that in the camp, Conrad Motorsport camp. He's getting a lot of experience, but he's also getting a lot of pressure from Max Angelard, another of the young chargers in the number 18 car, the driver from Poland, silver rated, challenging Zeno Folker, the German driver in the number 22, the car that is identical to the one that is leading the way, with Pavel Lefterov at the wheel. And Zeno Folker would have picked up advice and coaching and tutoring from Pavel Lefterov and Danny Sufi. They all work together as a team. Franz Conrad, who heads that team up, we've seen him racing in the Prototype Cup Germany in the past. So out of turn 11 they come once again, out onto the pit straight. 35 minutes remaining to 1.478 is the gap between first and second. 2.596 back to Christensen. And then you can see the gap back to Maxim Dirks. This time last year we had Ralf Schumacher and his son David Schumacher racing as guests here at the Nürburgring. They won both races. Certainly attracted a lot of attention. The legendary ex-Formula 1 driver and his son. Was hoping they might come in as a guest this weekend. I think the rest of the drivers are quite happy they didn't. Pavel Lefterov enjoying an open track in front of him, but we're getting close to that window. So what will the teams do? I get the feeling Conrad Motorsport might want to keep Pavel out there as long as possible, because he's got an open track in front of him. He's got no traffic ahead of him. So will not want to come into the pit, swap with Danny Sufi, and potentially come out in traffic because of that extended pit stop. So he may well want to stay out till late in the windows to try and build that gap back up again, so that he can come in, do the stop, and then maybe Sufi can get back out onto open track. That's the kind of strategies they're going to be thinking of. We're 1 minute away from the pit window opening yet. So Max Angelard with Zeno Folker in front of him. Folker, even though he's a solo driver, will still need to come in. He can open the door of the car. I think he can even get out if he wants, but he is a solo driver, so he will have a minimum pit stop time that is 5 seconds longer than if he was sharing with another silver-rated driver. So 14.507 is the gap back to Thomas Ambiel. His minimum pit stop time, 95 seconds, 26 seconds shorter than that of the race leader. So stands to gain when he comes into the pits and comes back out again. We'll see how quickly Ambiel can do it. We are now 10 seconds away from the pit window opening, and then the strategy will come into play. Pavel Lefterov up at turn 6 at the moment, round to turn 7. Riccardo Trelli was 1.8 behind him, but the gap, I think, has opened up a little bit more. Alexander Christensen in the last of the podium places. Maxim Dirks clearly at home at the wheel of that number 3 Aust Motorsport Ligier. Of course, Aust, the legendary team in German motorsport. Through the chicane they come, taking as much curb as they dare. Right, peeling off into the pits. The first one to come in is Alexander Christensen, number 1, into the pits. Also, it looks like Zeno Folker is in as well. So from 3rd place comes Alexander Christensen, the Swede. Once again, to repeat, he's from Sweden, will be handing over to Oscar Tunjo. Now, my entry seat says that Oscar Tunjo comes from Colombia. I believe that's still the case, but there is Oscar Tunjo. Finished in 3rd place yesterday, has been a regular feature in Pro Side Cup Germany over the years of this championship. Their minimum pit stop time, 117 seconds. That's 95 for the minimum pit stop time, plus 20 for being a silver-silver combination, plus another 2 on account of finishing 3rd yesterday. No dramas there. Zeno Folker will open the door and get some air into the car. He's in the pit lane as well. He's just getting the pain over with nice and early. Having a wash and blow dry on the car. You can see the door is open, but Zeno remains in the seat. His minimum pit stop time is 120 seconds. It's the 2nd longest minimum pit stop time of the field. Only the other Conrad car is in the pits for longer, 1 second longer, and now be when Pavel Lefterov chooses to come in. We've still got 6 cars that are staying out in the window. And my prediction is that we're not going to see Pavel Lefterov for some time yet. Max Angelard, the next into the pits. Matis Plushkul, the former GT4 racer, will be limbering up in the garage as we speak. Plushkul, who said, I've really found my home in prototype racing. I love it. When I was talking to him, and he is going to be excited to get into the seat of the number 18 car. He is one of the drivers that could take the championship to Pavel Lefterov and Danny Sufi. But at the moment, with Lefterov and Sufi at the front, there's nothing that anyone else could do to stop that championship from slipping away. Because even if Max Angelard and Matis Plushkul were able to get through into 2nd place, it would still be a 53-point deficit going into the final round at the Red Bull Ring. But remember, Lefterov and Sufi have that longer pit stop to come, so it's not a done deal yet. So, the number 18 car, a minimum pit stop time of 115 seconds. That's 6 seconds less than Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. Here comes our race leader, still out at the moment. I don't think Lefterov wants to come in quite yet, does he? He's out there still, giving it the qualifying laps in the Conrad Motorsport car. He continues out again out of turn 11, building up that gap. Riccardo Cirelli, it was 2.143 last time across the line. This time it's 2.519. There's a lock-up as the number 3 car, Maxim Dirks, comes into the pits, and they are not going to be changing the tyres on that car. So any flat spots, well, Sven Bart, the veteran GT racer who's going to be taking it over, is going to have to handle those flat spots and all the vibrations that go with it. That unique livery always attracts a crowd. Out of the oust car comes Maxim Dirks. He takes his seat insert. There is Sven Bart, poised and ready for action. He and Maxim Dirks have really set each other off. They just work together as a team. They've had 3 podiums so far this year. Still yet to find that first race win as Matis Plushkul now comes out to rejoin. But there is the number 1 car with Oscar Tunjo at the wheel. So there is Oscar Tunjo just ahead. They're on the same lap, so that'll be for 6th place, and net 6th place at the moment. Maxim Dirks still into the pits. Lefterov staying out. Still got just over 5 minutes remaining before he has to come in, as is the case for Cirelli and Mikkel C. Johansson. Thomas Ambiel still remaining out on track at the moment. He hasn't done his stop. He's got that nice short stop to come, so he'll be able to launch himself back up through the pack. 28 minutes remaining of this race. The pit window still open for another 5 minutes. So in comes Cirelli. Riccardo Cirelli's work is done for this weekend. Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen will be ready to jump into the car. There he is. And your marks get set to go. He's not exactly rushing, is he? Doesn't need to rush at the moment. Congrats, Riccardo Cirelli, on a good job. Having got it this far, having kept the leaders within sight. Now Matthias Pierre Jakobsen climbs on board. The seat insert is in place, making sure he is well secured in that car. Here comes Sven Bart. He's taken over from Maxim Dirk. So Bart just ahead of Oscar Tunyo, but the tyres would have cooled down. So Tunyo may see this as an opportunity to pounce. So Bart in the number 3 car, still well ahead of Tunyo. He's up at turn 3 at the moment. So Cirelli sat there also. The number 80 car, Mikkel C. Johansson, handing to Mikael Herrick. Mikael, who was the teammate to Alexander Christensen prior to this weekend for Gebhard Intralogistics Motorsport. I knew I could say it in the end. But has swapped over to accompany Mikkel C. Johansson, who had Oscar Tunyo, a combination of Oscar Tunyo and Valentina Catalana as a teammate in the past. Right, leader into the pits. Here we go then. Pavel Lefterov, he could have stayed out for a couple more laps. He's decided he's done enough to build the gap. The clock is ticking. Danny Sufi will be waiting. So now the only driver not to have pitted is Thomas Ambiel. He's going to come in eventually. He's going to enjoy the fact he's got an open track in front of him at the moment. So Ambiel still staying out on track for another lap. So Thomas Ambiel, the only non-pitter, is going to jump to the front here as he comes tearing past. There, Pavel Lefterov exits. His job is done for today. There's our new race leader coming through in towards turn 1. Here is Matthias Pierre Jakobsen, the leading stopper. Pavel Lefterov has handed over to Danny Sufi. Thomas Ambiel vaulting up through the field, but will have to come in for his stop very shortly. There is Matthias Pierre Jakobsen setting on his way. Currently still behind at the moment. Danny Sufi is in the pits in the number 2 car, waiting. We'll see where he exits in comparison to the number 8 car. There's Franz Conrad with the white hair, who looks on. There is Sufi waiting for that clock to tick down. It's going to feel painful at the moment. Jakobsen is up at turn 7. Up ahead of him is Thomas Ambiel, the race leader. But Ambiel will have to come in. I think he's going to have to come in this time around as well. The engine fires into life. 20 seconds still. 15 seconds to get to the pit exit. He cannot get there before. Danny Sufi does not want to cut it too fine. But here comes Matthias Pierre Jakobsen. Remember, Jakobsen's tyres will be up to temperature. The number 2 car has been stationary in the pits for some time, so those tyres will be cold. Here comes Matthias Pierre Jakobsen out along the pit lane. So Danny Sufi rejoins. The tyres now getting up to temperature. In the background is Sven Bart. Bart has come out of this sequence very well indeed. So Sven Bart there as well. The leading stopper at the moment as Thomas Ambiel comes into the pits is Danny Sufi. So Sufi leading the way. There's first, second and third. So far from catching Danny Sufi, Matthias Pierre Jakobsen has fallen into the clutches of Sven Bart. There's Thomas Ambiel, the last of the stoppers. Remember, he has that shorter stop, so he's going to come out in the mix somewhere. At the moment, Thomas Ambiel still leads the way. Our net race leader, or our leading stopper, should I say, in second place up at turn 7 with Matthias Pierre Jakobsen behind him. So where will Thomas Ambiel come when this is all done and dusted? That short pit stop, 30 seconds still remaining. The engine fires into life. Sufi currently in to the Vidal chicane, turn 9 coming up and 10. Then into turn 11. Now Ambiel is rolling, so Thomas Ambiel into the pit lane from absolute last, currently leading the way. Here comes Danny Sufi. There's Thomas Ambiel on the left-hand side. I think Sufi's going to get to turn 1 before Ambiel does, but Ambiel's going to be in the mix in terms of the places. That will only help Lefterov and Sufi in terms of championship. I think Matthias Pierre Jakobsen's going to get the job done before Ambiel can get up to speed. So into second place goes Pierre Jakobsen. Now, Ambiel into third, but feeling vulnerable. Sven Bart there as well. Sven Bart is going to muscle his way through. So Thomas Ambiel down into fourth place. The pit window closes. Everybody is done and dusted. And Danny Sufi now leading the way. Now he can start to think of the championship. Danny Sufi at the front. So there's Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen in second place. Sven Bart having taken over from Maxim Dirks. Then it's Thomas Ambiel. Mattis Plushko a little behind him, but will be closing in quickly. This is the battle for second place. Out along the back straight, turn 8, taken pretty well flat out in towards turn 9. The heavy braking of the chicane. In the GT series that precede this, we see the cars monstering the chicanes, getting airborne. You can't do that in an LMP3 car because you lose the downforce. When the car is airborne, the car is not gripping anything. There is Sven Bart out onto the pit straight once again. So here we come across the line. We get our official order with the pit window closed. Danny Sufi leads Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen, Sven Bart in third, Thomas Ambiel in fourth, Mattis Plushko in fifth, Zeno Volker off that longer pit stop in sixth with work to do, Oscar Tunyo in seventh, ahead of Mikael Herrith in eighth place. So, if the race finished now, Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov will get the full 25 points. Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen and Riccardo Torelli would get the points for second are 20. Sven Bart and Maxim Dirks would get the points for third place, and that is 16. As we see a lock-up from Sven Bart. Mattis Plushko in fifth place would get those points for fifth place, which is 11. It means that Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov would be 61 points clear of Maxim Dirks and Sven Bart, who would move up to second in the championship, but too far back to challenge. And it would be championship done and dusted before we even get to the Red Bull Ring. It will be a 61-point advantage for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov if the race finishes now. And they are in such a strong position. So, having driven faultlessly during this race, pretty faultlessly yesterday as well, as we see that lockup from Sven Bart, just keeping it where it is now for the next 20.25 minutes. Plus one lap, we'll see Sufi and Lefterov crowned champions with one round remaining as Plushko moves to the inside of Ambiel. So up to fourth place for Mattis Plushko and Max Angelard. So that will give them a few more points. That will make them second in the championship now. So it will be 60 points adrift for Max Angelard and Mattis Plushko. That bumps Maxim Dirks and Sven Bart down to third place in the championship. But still, Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov lead the way. 19.75 minutes. Are we about to see two brand new names on the trophy of the Prototype Cup Germany? It seems a very, very distinct possibility. Last year, it was Marcus Pommer and Valentina Catalana who won the championship. Danny Sufi won the junior championship. Antti Ramo won the trophy championship. Gebhardt Motorsport won the team championship. The year before that, it was Gary Hauser and Marcus Pommer who took the win. Then the opening year of the championship, Berke Besler, the driver we've just seen winning in GT4 this afternoon, and Marvin Dietz. They were the initial winners of this championship. Now in the fourth season, it's going to be two new names on the trophy. Which names is it going to be? Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov with one hand on the trophy with 18.75 minutes remaining. So the rumble of the cars continue. Around turn 4 they come. If the championship can be done and dusted at this early stage, they really are racing for silverware the next time out at the Red Bull Ring. Thomas Ambiel with Zeno Volker in 6th place. Volker has been very impressive, is yet to better his score for his debut at the Lausitz Ring. That was a 3rd place. He got a 5th there, he got a 6th yesterday. Had some, I'm told, some mechanical issues in quali this morning, which put him further back than he would have liked. But Zeno Volker, who is one of the absolute up-and-coming stars of motorsport, hadn't got the budget to do a full season of Prototype Cup Germany, which is a real shame. We'd love to have seen him around the Norris Ring. I'm really hoping that he'll be able to make it to the Red Bull Ring and show his worth. through the chicane he goes in the number 22 Conrad Motorsport car, a Ligier JSP 320 with the 5.6 litre naturally aspirated Nissan V8 engine, producing about 450 brake horsepower. These engines are all sealed. There are 4 chassis eligible, the Ginetta, the Ligier, the Duquesne, and the Ardèche. We haven't seen the Ardèche at all in Prototype Cup Germany. We've certainly seen the other 3, and it is a Ligier that leads the way at the moment in the championship. You can see the escalation there. Thomas Ambiel up for and a penalty lap for a pit stop infringement for car 80. So that'll be Mikkel C. Johansson. Or Mikael Herrick, should I say, who took over Mikkel C. Johansson in 8th place. So a pit stop infringement and a trip to the penalty box. The pit stops are heavily regulated. It may well have been somebody crossing the line too early, too many people working on the car, maybe somebody without the correct safety equipment, but the penalty box is there. He has to pass through it at no more than 60 kilometers an hour, and then it's back up to speed. It's off the racing line on the exit of turn 1. He hasn't lost any positions on account of the fact he's in 8th place at the moment. He was 30 seconds back from Oscar Tunjo, so that's going to be about 35 seconds back when he next crosses the line. There's your first place car. 16 minutes plus 1 lap away from a championship win. Danny Sufi has always been just in the background, always there or thereabouts. This year, along with Pavel Lefterov, have proven to be the potent combination. The sister car with Zeno Folker, a young driver very much at the start of his racing career, putting the pressure onto Thomas Ambiel in the number 33 car. Thomas, who is a 46-year-old bronze-rated driver, he's a businessman, started karting back in 1996. He's been in the ADAC VW Lupo Cup in 2002 and 3. He's a VLN junior champion. He's raced a lot in the VLN, so he'd have been looking forward to this. But then he gave up racing to focus on his IT business, returned in 2019 in the Vintage Group C category, and now moving across to Prototype Cup Germany and doing a sterling job. He's in 5th place, and he's holding off one of the young Chargers who was still racing karts a couple of years ago, Zeno Folker. Then moved across to the ADAC Tourenwagen Cup, using the curbs there. I think you'd do well to pay attention to Jeremy Siffert, who did something similar and saw the car dispatched off into the fence. But Folker, not deterred by that. He's got Oscar Tunjo, who's caught up now, so he hasn't been able to get the job done with Thomas Ambiel. And now Oscar Tunjo has rushed to join the battle. Now, if Zeno Folker doesn't get it to stick, he could leave himself vulnerable to Oscar Tunjo in the number 1 car. So the 3 cars glued together along the pit straight. In towards turn 1 they come. Ambiel, the bronze-rated driver, doing a lot of work, holding off under pressure, but Folker knows that he's got to go now to the inside. At the same time, Tunjo to the outside of Ambiel. Ambiel about to be relegated 2 positions, but fights back. Tunjo side by side, Folker's through and clear, but Ambiel is going to be shuffled down from 5th to 7th place. A little lock-up was that from Tunjo into the corner, but now Ambiel shuffled down the order into 7th place. Folker, like a rat up a drain pipe, disappears, leaves Tunjo and Ambiel in his wake. 13 3/4 minutes remaining. A track limit warning has been given to Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen as Ambiel is the next to experience the dirt on the exit of turn 5. Really having to work for traction there, but a track limit warning for Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen. As we look again, Zeno Folker saw the gap. He knew it was going to be now or never. Dive bomb to the inside of Thomas Ambiel. Good racing skills there. No contact, no dramas. Oscar Tunjo tried the outside line into turn 1. Had to work a bit harder for that position, but eventually made it happen and moved his way up into 6th place. 13 minutes on the clock. That is that moment. Ambiel maybe a little bit distracted by all that occurred. Throws a cloud of dust into the air, and there's Zeno Folker now breaking clear of the number 33 car. There is the number 1 of Oscar Tunjo between the 2 of them. So Danny Sufi 6.5 seconds clear of Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen. Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov, 12.5 minutes away from a championship win, the 4th ever season of the Prototype Cup Germany. To be fair, Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov have never looked anything other than champions since the season started. They kicked off at Spa-Francorchamps with a win and a 3rd place. They had a disqualification from the Hockenheimring race 2, but for that have finished every single race on the podium. And only one of those podiums has been a 3rd. The rest have been either wins or 2nd places. The consistency that nobody else has been able to match. And now, with less than 12 minutes remaining, just bringing it home in the position it's in will be enough to secure the championship for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. But as we said at the beginning, the points are not paid out until the checkered flag falls. So they've still got to bring the thing home to get those points. We continue to look at the sister car to the race leader, the champions-elect, Zino Folker in 5th place, now with Oscar Tunjo on his tail. Tunjo returns to the Prototype Cup Germany after spending last year in the European Le Mans Series. He had 3 wins in 2023 and was 6th in the championship in 2022. We've seen him in GT World Challenge Europe as we look at some lovely slow-mos of Zino Folker bumping over the curbing. We saw Oscar Tunjo in ADAC GT Masters in 2018. He's also been in the Tourenwagen Trophy Championship. Started out in BMW Pacific, Formula Renault and GP3. So the driver from Colombia, who shares the seat with the Swedish driver Alexander Christensen, to repeat to the notice at the start of this broadcast. And they have been a very, very quick combination of drivers as well. There's Zino Folker in that 5th place in the Ligier. At the moment, just 2 brands of chassis. We got Ligier, followed by Duquesne, followed by Ligier, followed by Duquesne, followed by Ligier, and then the rest of them are all Duquesnes. 10.25 minutes, just under, remaining, plus 1 lap. Are we about to crown the brand new champions of Prototype Cup Germany here at what is arguably the capital of German motorsport, here at the Nürburgring? Zino Folker with his mirrors full of Oscar Tunjo. Tunjo thinking about trying on Zino Folker what he tried on Thomas Ambiel the previous time around. A look to the inside. Folker has that covered off at the moment, but he's going to have to hold on for another 9.75 minutes. Oscar Tunjo not in the championship hunt. He was in 11th place in the championship coming into this. Alexander Christensen was in 5th place coming into this race. And a 6th place finish now for Christensen and for Oscar Tunjo would give them 10 points, which is certainly not enough to challenge Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. The race finishes now will be 206 points for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. They came into this race with 181. Now they are less than 9 minutes away from a championship win. Still, they've got to bring it home. We're looking at 5th place at the moment. Out onto the pit straight we come once again. So this is Sven Bart and Mattis Pluskul. So Sven Bart, Mattis Pluskul. Pluskul challenging for the last of the podium positions. So BWT Mucker Motorsport versus Aust Motorsport, 2 great German names. At the moment, Sven Bart, who took over from Maxim Dirks, is holding on to the last of the podium positions. They're about 7.3 seconds back from Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen in 2nd place. But Mattis Pluskul, who has proven to be very, very useful, fancies a little bit of silverware here before this race is done. Now challenging Sven Bart. If he can get it up into that 3rd place, it won't be enough to take the championship away from Sufi and Lefterov. And they're getting it wrong, under braking. That's Oscar Tunjo, a bit of a wobble into turn 1. So Tunjo falls back from Zino Folker. So this is for third place. 7 3/4 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap. Matis Plushko flashing the lights, trying to distract Sven Bart. Good luck with that. A very experienced driver. Third place will pay 16 points. So if he can get that, they would be 57 back from Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. Not enough to take the championship to the next round, but certainly enough to secure second place for Max Angelard and Matis Plushko. So here we come into turn 1 once again. Doing the calculations in the closing stages of this race. There's Zeno Folker. Tunyo with that mistake, now having to do the work to close it all up again. Sven Bart in that third place. Matis Plushko giving it everything, using every part of the track, but keeping it within track limits. No issues there. Here comes Zeno Folker once again in 5th place. There is Oscar Tunyo. Has he got another attack up his sleeve? Less than 6.5 minutes remaining. Remember, Danny Sufi just needs to keep doing what he's doing. And in about 7 minutes, 8 minutes time, he and Pavel Lefterov will be crowned the champions of Prototype Cup Germany 2025. Sven Bart still holding on to the last of the podium positions. Matis Plushko in the pink BWT Muka Motorsport car, monstering them all the way. Jakobsen, 8.8 seconds back from Danny Sufi. Sufi, totally in control of this race. Needs to now focus, making sure the car holds together, making sure he doesn't make mistakes. We've already seen how quickly it can get away from you. It's not over till it's over. Zeno Folker now sees Oscar Tunyo to the left-hand side of him into turn 1. Tunyo will try and cut back to the inside, but Folker will have the momentum around the outside. Into turn 2 they will come. Zeno Folker holding on to 5th place at the moment. Oscar Tunyo tried to sell the dummy, tried to cut back to the inside. Didn't make that stick on this occasion. He's still got 5 1/4 minutes to do something about it. Zeno Folker, you can see him in the car. The sun's shining in his eyes. The evening sun here at the Nürburgring. Right in the eyes of the driver. We're quite late in the afternoon. The sun very much dazzling the drivers, but they continue to fight on. Out towards turn 6 and 7 they will come. And then out the flat out turn 8, then braking into turns 9 and 10. There's Sven Bart, Matis Plushko still scrapping over the last of the podium positions. 4.5 minutes remaining. Matthias Bjerre Jakobsen looks to have that 2nd place covered off. 3rd place still very much up for grabs. Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov will not care who finishes 3rd, because all they care about is getting that maximum point score at the end of this race and clinching that championship with 2 races to spare. Their sister car with Zeno Folker at the rear, still holding on to that 5th place from Oscar Tunyo. Tunyo still trying to battle into turn 1, still not able to find that route past. Now trying the wide outside, going around the outsides of turns 3 and 4. Folker still in that position. 5th place for Zeno Folker, but Tunyo starting to look like he's running out of patience. Here they come again. Zeno Folker has this covered off into turn 5. They will come. A little lockup once again from Oscar Tunyo. That's how hard he's trying. That's forced him to drop back with 3.5 minutes remaining. Folker still has that 5th place. They're looking like they're fighting for the win. They're fighting for 5th place, but there's glory, there is honor at stake here. Folker riding the curves, bumping around just a little, but not too much. This is where Tunyo, just for a brief moment, had an inch in front of the Comrade Motorsport car, but it didn't happen. 3 minutes, 10 seconds remaining. Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov now on the eve of a championship win. They still continue well clear, 11.3 clear of Matthias Bjerre Jakobsen. The 5th place battle rages on. The 3rd place battle rages on. Matis Plushko is fed up with staring at the back of Sven Bart. still wants to get himself and Max Angerlard onto that podium. And to turn one we come once again. Zeno Folker, what a sterling job he's done, but is it going to be too little too late? Oscar Tunyo running absolutely side by side with 2.5 minutes remaining. Folker looking more vulnerable now than he has at any point in this battle. He's got the inside line. Can he squeeze Tunyo? He's going to try it, isn't he? The two cars running side by side. The outside line for Zeno Folker, absolutely neck and neck. Who is going to get this one? Tunyo gives him the squeeze, and into turn 5 they come, finally stealing 5th place away from Zeno Folker. I should think he'll be steaming about that inside. He's had a track limit warning on turn 2, but the position stays at the moment. Zeno Folker shuffled down the order to 6th place. Less than 2 minutes remaining of this race. We're looking at the fight for the last of the podium positions. Sven Bart in 3rd place. Matis Plushkul, is he going to do something similar to what Oscar Tunyo has just done and steal the dream away in the closing stages of this race? 1.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race 10 of a 12-race season for Pro Cycle Cup Germany. On the outside into turn 1, just a little look. Matis Plushkul, what else has he got up his sleeve? What else can he do to take that position away from Sven Bart to get himself and Max Angerlard on to the podium for a 3rd place trophy? The clock is down to 1 minute and 5 seconds. Our race leader, Danny Sufi's up at turn 7 at the moment. So I'm not sure whether he's going to get back to the line by the time the clock strikes 0. A smoking break for Sven Bart. That's how hard he is defending and how hard he's trying. Plushkul would have seen that as an incentive to maybe push a little bit harder. I think Danny Sufi is going to get to the line before the clock strikes 0. If that is the case, it's going to be another 2 laps remaining of this race. 2 laps before they can steal the championship in Prototype Cup Germany. So yes, 20 seconds remaining. I've just seen Danny Sufi go past. So 2 laps remaining of Prototype Cup Germany here at the Nürburgring. 2 laps for Matis Plushkul to find a way to shoehorn himself and his co-pilot onto the podium for a 3rd place trophy. Sven Bart, the most experienced of pilots probably on the grid, has been on the scene of German motorsport for many, many years. Plushkul now has a nose inside into turn 1. Can he get it slowed down? He takes Sven Bart wide into turn 1. Bart comes back on the inside. Plushkul will try to power back around the outside. The 2 cars make contact. Plushkul goes spinning. Can he keep it out the barrier? He'll keep it rolling. So now he rejoins, but Sven Bart now with that 3rd place secured. I think Oscar Tunyo is in the background. I don't think he's going to catch Matis Plushkul, but on the closing laps of this race, Matis Plushkul losing the back end after contact with Sven Bart. Boy, did he put up a battle, but it just wasn't going to happen. You can look here again. They were running side by side. Bart, well, you can't see from that angle where they were in relation to each other, but Matis Plushkul gave it everything. It's under investigation. I'm not sure we're going to get a result from any inquiry in the next few minutes, because at the moment, Danny Sufi is on the last lap of the race, ahead of Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen on the eve of what could be a championship. There is less than 3 kilometers now between here and the checkered flag. Less than 3 kilometers for a championship win for Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov from Conrad Motorsport. Danny Sufi, who currently lives in Dortmund in Germany, the driver who comes from Austin in Texas, has come up through the ranks, was a drifting prior to joining the ranks of LMP GT3 racing before 2022. He used to then race MX-5, something very, very different now. He's joined the Prototype Cup Germany ranks. He's always been there in the background. Last year, he signaled his intent when he won the Junior Championship in this series. And now Marcus Palmer and Valentino Catalana's Championship of 2024 is about to be eclipsed because Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov are about to claim a championship in Prototype Cup Germany 2025. It's a win for Danny Sufi. There is Pavel Lefterov with 2 races remaining. They cannot be caught, and they are the new champions. Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen in second place in car number 8 will come next across the line. Then Sven Bart, we're still waiting for him to appear, along with Maxim Dirks after that controversial finish. Mattis Plushko has held on to that 4th place despite that spin. So he and Max Angelard will finish in 4th. Then it's Oscar Tunyo along with Alexander Christensen who will come next. And then Zeno Volker rounding out the top 6 and Thomas Ambiel. And then last but certainly not least, Mikael Herrick along with Mikael C. Johansson. Race 10 in this 4th season of Prototype Cup Germany, organised by the ADAC in association with Creventic. We saw them around the streets of the Nürburgring the last time. This is something altogether different, but Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov have proven they can conquer all tracks and all surfaces. We saw them take a win at the season opener at Spa-Francorchamps. They also took a 3rd place at Hockenheim. For round 2, they took a 2nd place. A disqualification saw them taken out of a second place. At the Hockenheim ring, at the Lausitz ring, they took 2 wins, back-to-back wins. That's when we realised this championship was almost going to go the way of Conrad Motorsport. Then at the Nürburgring, they proved how good they are with a 2nd place in race 1 and then a win in race 2. And now here at the Nürburgring, back-to-back wins. It's 6 wins this season out of 9 races. I think probably the most dominant performance we've seen in Prototype Cup Germany. And now the celebrations can start. Pavel Lefterov comes to greet Danny Sufi in Parc Fermé. The 2 great friends, and they really have great fun together. Real teammates. They congratulate each other. You've done it. Danny Sufi, last year's junior champion, this year's Prototype Cup Germany champion.
Was hot in the car.
It was hot in the car.
They managed to go push me behind, but I had a small touch here.
Wonderful. There's Matthias Bjerre-Jakobsen. Good job from him and Riccardo Cirelli into that 2nd place. Mattis Plushko, Max Angelard being shown lurking. I haven't actually had any notification of any penalty, but on the results there, Sven Bart and Max Dirks are being shown as further down. That's not anything that's appeared on my timing screen. So they 1, 2, 3. Right, now it has been. Car 3, penalty lap, replaced by 5 seconds. So that incident that saw Mattis Plushko spinning around Sven Bart has been demoted to 5th place as a result of that contact. That has just flashed up on my screen. Now it means that Mattis Plushko and Max Angelard get to keep that 3rd place trophy. They're on to the podium. There's Danny Sufi to tie it up in a series as close as this with 2 races remaining is some feat.
He's coming slowly.
So Max Angelard, Mattis Plushko in that 2nd place in the championship. So into the Parc Fermé, there is Riccardo Cirelli. Offers his congratulations. There's Sven Bart. Unfortunately, the news is going to filter through to him and Maxim Dirks that they don't get to keep the position that the car is parked in. And that actually, Mattis Plushkull and Max Angelard are going to be taking that spot. There is Maxim Dirks in the white. There's Sven Bart. And he will no doubt be heading off to the stewards. There is Mattis Plushkull. And there's Max Angelard putting his overalls back on. And there is Pavel Lefterov. So the penalty that saw Sven Bart drop down the order was that there. The two cars getting together. And Mattis Plushkull. The stewards have taken a look. They have angles that we don't have, and they will have seen that Sven Bart had committed a crime and was to receive that 5-second penalty. So Mattis Plushkull and Max Angelard in the third place. Riccardo Cirelli and Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen in the second place. But the win, what a way to win a championship with back-to-back wins at the Nürburgring. It doesn't get any better than that. Your new champions for 2025, Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. So I mentioned earlier, we saw Pavel Lefterov in ADAC GT for Germany for a number of years. And we've seen him in Lamborghini Super Trofeo over the last year. He won the SP8 category in the Nürburgring 24-hour race back in 2019. But it just feels like he's really found his home in Prototype Cup racing. He has just looked so dialed in. Danny Sufi, well, he was only ever going to be a champion in prototypes, wasn't he? There's Max Angelard and Mattis Plushkull, two lovely people. And of course, two cars on the podium for BWT Mucker Motorsport. Riccardo Cirelli and Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen. And our new champions for Conrad Motorsport. Danny Sufi, Pavel Lefterov, winning the championship with a top step on the podium. Pavel Lefterov, well, we already know about my country identification, but I think that's a Bulgarian flag. And team representation as well. Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen, Riccardo Cirelli, the highest finished junior drivers. The highest finished trophy driver, Thomas Ambiel, he worked hard for that, didn't he? Finishing in 7th place. And now I think we get Franz Conrad, the legendary smile. You can see that one from a distance. Congratulates all the drivers, but especially his own, as they win the championship for Conrad Motorsport. Your 4th ever champions in Prototype Cup Germany are Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov. And they've crowned it by standing on the top step of the podium. Jürgen Heiker, sports director, ADAC Westfalen EV, presenting the winners' trophies. Of course, the champion trophy not presented till the end of the season. Thomas Frieser from the Executive Board of Tourism, ADAC Westfalen, presents Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen and Riccardo Cirelli their trophies. Two absolute talents of the present and of the future. Klaus Hausenbusch from the local boards, ADAC Westfalen, presenting the 3rd place trophies. And then the junior trophy, the winners in the junior category. We've still got that championship to come. So Coming into this weekend, Max Anglard and Matis Plushko were leading Maxim Dirks by 4 points. Well, that would have extended in the junior ranking. And the trophy ranking, and Thomas Ambiel may well be clear of Mikael Herrick now. And we've still got a team championship as well to be decided. So still plenty to play for when we regather at the Red Bull Ring in a couple of weeks, because that's where we will be for the season closer. I say a couple of weeks, actually, in September, the 12th to the 14th of September, in the Styrian Mountains in Austria. What a way to celebrate our new champions. Danny Sufi and Pavel Lefterov have clinched the title. We've still got the Junior Championship, the Trophy Ranking, and the Team Championships to be confirmed. And that is going to happen next time out, when we will enjoy the last 2 races of this enthralling season for the Prototype Cup Germany, organised by the ADAC in association with Creventic. I do hope you've enjoyed the racing here at the Nürburgring here this weekend. Be sure to join us the 12th to the 14th of September from the Red Bull Ring in Austria for the season closer, Prototype Cup Germany 2025.